Shabbat Shalom. This week, we will mark the holiday of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. This solemn day is observed as a remembrance of several tragedies that have befallen our people. From the return of the 12 spies from their sojourn into the Promised Land, 10 of them with negative accounts, thus causing us to wander in the desert for 40 years, to the fall of both the first and the second temples. To more recent dates is the bombing of the Jewish Center in Buenos Aires in 1994, which we just marked 30 years on the secular calendar last month. This date is filled with calamities for the Jewish people. As a result, we take time to mourn communally for the continued loss and destruction of our people and our land. One of the main goals of religion, of any religion, is to help people make sense of the senseless world around them. We know that life is filled with tragedies and that life is not always fair. Yet as humans, we want to make sense. We want things to make sense. So sometimes we look for reasons or patterns where there may be none. For example, our Talmudic rabbis spent copious amounts of time trying to figure out why the different tragedies occurred. The first temple, they said, fell because we weren't adhering closely enough to God's mitzvot. The same reason couldn't be applied to the second temple. So they said this one fell because of sinat chinam, senseless internal fighting. While both of these things were likely happening at the time that the temples fell, it's not at all clear that this was the main reason for the destruction of the temples. But having a reason allows us to compartmentalize, sometimes to place blame, and more importantly, it allows us to try to act differently in the hope to avoid a repeat of the negative experience. We convince ourselves that if we can just avoid the behavior that caused the negative experience, then we can avoid a repetition of that experience. But as much as we try to find reasons for bad things happening, we also know that sometimes there is no reason. Life simply isn't fair. In the book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, Rabbi Harold Kushner writes, "Can you accept the idea that some things happen for no reason and that there is randomness in the universe? Some people cannot handle that idea. They look for connections, striving desperately to make sense of what happens. They convince themselves that God is cruel or that they are sinners, rather than accept randomness. Sometimes when they have made sense of 90% of everything they know, they let themselves assume that the other 10% makes sense also, but lies beyond their understanding. But why do we have to insist on everything being reasonable? Why must everything happen for a specific reason? Why can't the universe have a few rough edges? As much as we want there to be an order and a reason for everything, we know that there isn't. Why one flight attendant was scheduled for September 11th and the other for September 12th. Or why one person decided to go shopping in one store when the terrorists decided to enter. As Rabbi Kushner teaches, these events do not reflect God's choices. They happen at random, and randomness is another word for chaos. In these corners of the universe where God's creative light has not yet penetrated, all chaos is evil, not wrong, not malevolent, but evil nonetheless, because by causing tragedies at random, it prevents people from believing in God's goodness. The inspiration behind his book was his own exploration and struggle with God and tragedy when his son was born with a life-debilitating and life-limiting illness. Each of us, in our own lives, face challenges and calamities that compel us to question our own theology and ultimately bring us to re-examine and refocus our values and understandings of life. Sometimes it is only the experience of being surrounded by the darkness that propels us to find the light. Individually, we each go through this, but communally, we go through these periods as well. While Rabbi Kushner may have given us a modern guide to getting through the darkness, we have biblical models of how to do that as well. On Monday evening and Tuesday morning, we will observe Tisha B'Av. Traditionally, we read from the book of Eicha, Lamentations. We fast, and we follow many customs that are traditionally associated with mourning, such as sitting on low chairs and not listening to music. But what is unique about this holiday is how it's actually connected to Rosh Hashanah, which is only 7 weeks away. Following Tisha B'Av, there are 7 Shabbatot leading into Rosh Hashanah, and these are called the Shabbat of Consolation, or the Weeks of Consolation. Each of the Haftorah portions we will read in the coming weeks will be about comfort, consolation, and renewal. We spend a day lamenting and mourning all that has befallen our people, but then we spend 7 weeks allowing ourselves to be comforted and consoled as we prepare to enter the new year. We don't try to explain away the hurt or even refocus on good things. We simply allow ourselves to experience the pain and then recover in comfort. Sometimes that's all we can do. In looking at the connection between Tisha B'Av and the high holidays, our scholars teach that we should recount the falling of the temples and other tragedies and imagine the walls that we have built around our own hearts crumbling. Only once we break through those walls and truly experience and expose the hurt, the pain, the denial, and the sorrow that we hold in our hearts can we begin the process of healing and strengthening. Each week we are comforted by the words of our prophets reminding us of God's love and willingness to forgive. We should let those words truly stir our souls and help us heal. As Rabbi Alan Liu writes in This Is Real, and You Are Totally Unprepared for It, the passage of time brings awareness, and the two together, time and consciousness, heal. This is precisely the journey we take every year during the High Holy Days, a journey of transformation and healing, a time which together with consciousness heals and transforms us. And the urge to return the primal impulse buried deep in our psyche is the current that propels us down this river. It is the impulse that launches the healing process. Each year, as we observe Tisha B'Av, we acknowledge the multitude of tragedies that have befallen our people, ancient and modern. We viscerally feel the walls coming down around us, and we embrace the healing words of comfort that then surround us. And 7 weeks later, we rise up to bravely and defiantly enter into a new year, a year filled with hope that this year we and the world around us can be better. Shabbat Shalom.